So I'm moving some geckos around and I wanted to film it. So in here has been the third born who didn't have a clutch mate because it suffocated in the egg. But I moved it in with Chris and Finnick. So here we have Chris and Finnick right up there. And then back in that corner there you can see its foot. And it's pretty big. And it's been growing well, so it's just a month behind these guys, and I think the three of them will do just fine. So then we have the next one that was born, which was another month later, and that was this guy actually, right there. And he doesn't look like anybody else, and his clutch mate was infertile. Now for some reason, he's tiny. He just has not grown properly, and he's so small. I don't know why. So if you compare him to the next month born, which was also a teddy baby, he's a lot smaller, or she, or whatever, way smaller, and is way smaller than all the four that were born that month. This one's a Darwin baby, who he might be the same size as, but honestly, he's pretty small. So I'm going to put him in with the ones not born a month after him, but the ones born 2 months after him, because for some reason that's the ones that match his size. So I honestly don't know why he's so small, but he just hasn't grown as much as maybe he should be, but I don't think it's a problem. I mean, he must be eating and doing well enough. So I'm moving him in with those guys, so there'll be 4 in there, or 5 in there. And then I'm moving, like I said, the ones born a month after him all into the 5-gallon, because this guy right here is massive. He must have, like, he's done so well. I'm not sure why, but he's really big, and if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't move everybody else in here as well. But I think that these 4 will do all right. They're all pretty big, and I think that I'll be able to find them just fine. This is a Goliad, and he's right in the middle of shedding, so I'm going to add him in. And then we have that one's clutch mate right there, and then we have Goliad's clutch mate right here. So these are 2 Darwin babies and 2 teddy babies, and that's how I generally keep everybody. And it's in this, what I call the nursery, because for a while I incubated the eggs in here, but there's not any eggs in here anymore. Just incubate them in the incubator now, just because it's easier to find them when they hatch. So I'm putting those 4 into there, and then I'll put this on, which I need to drill more insulation holes into this, but it's hard to drill into plexiglass because if you're not patient with it, then you can crack it. So the plants stick out, so what I have to do is I put this, without crushing any of the geckos, I need to adjust this where it should be, and then the geckos will kind of move out of the way. And then I put on the lid, and then that holds everything down. So now there's 4 in here. There's 5 in here, which I'm probably going to move into this one. So there's now 3 in here, and 4 in here, and then 5 in here, 3 in this one. And then the next one there's another egg waiting to hatch, so it should hatch pretty soon. But these are all babies. Haven't been alive for too long. Or haven't been they didn't hatch too long ago. But the reason I wanted to do this is because this allows me to clean 1 less enclosure. And the thing with it is that if they defecate in here, the springtails cleaned up, I don't have to clean anything in the bioactive tanks. So that is why I prefer those, and that is why I might look into figuring out some type of way to make these bioactive, just like with springtails. Not entirely sure how I'd go about doing that. I mean, just add in soil and then add in springtails, so then I would keep these nice and humid. The problem is they still do defecate on the sides, so maybe I could just wipe down the sides and make sure that the feces goes down to the bottom. But right now what happens is whenever I feed them, I take everything out, wash these enclosures, and then I have to put them back and everything. And that just takes a lot of time when you have like 4 enclosures to do that with. So I'm trying to minimize the amount of work I have to do, so it takes up less time. So I might look into doing that. The problem is I'm just worried that it'd get kind of gross, or maybe gnats would like take over or something, so I have to kind of watch that. And I also don't know how to do that, like with having the fake plant, because the fake plant would still get defecated on, and I'd still have to clean that. And it's not like I could really use real plants, and then if I tried to use wood to replace the plants, like I could load up wood into here, it would probably mold, which is creating an unhealthy environment for the animals. So thing is that I don't want to create like a gross environment with mold and stuff for the animals. So if I can create a way, like this is really crazy humid, but none of the wood molds in here, and it's something that I'm dealing with this wood that I've been using in this enclosure. This stuff kind of, like all of the wood in here, it's nice, it's really humid in here, and some of the stuff has been molding a little bit, so I kind of have to watch that and pay attention and make sure that it doesn't get too gross so that it can dry out every once in a while. Another problem with that is that the like really young ones I can't do that with. Like these guys I'm not worried about, but like the babies I wouldn't put in an enclosure like this, because they will just eat the soil and then they can't pass it because they're so small. So that is a legitimate concern there, and I completely forgot about that. That's why I don't do that. So these guys might be alright with something like that, but I'd rather not risk it, so I'll just leave them to it. But I wanted to document that I'm switching everybody around today. At the point of editing this, I completely forgot that was even an idea that I had, and I kind of started convincing myself that that might be something I still want to try, but it's not. It's easier just to clean the enclosures because the babies are too small, and if they had dirt, or even if they were larger and they were in there and they were stuck in there, then they're going to eat the soil, and that's going to be bad. So when you have a bioactive setup, you want it to be big enough, especially for crested geckos, that they're not near the soil all the time, because crested geckos don't want to be near the soil. They want to be up on branches and stuff and in leaves. So paper towel is what I use still, and it works well because it's easy to keep sanitary. It's easy to see when they defecate, and it is easy to work with and switch around and all that kind of stuff. So if I had animals that were small enough to like be in enclosures like this, then I would try to make it bioactive. But these are just temporary holding containers, and they're not arboreal or anything, so they wouldn't make good bioactive setups. So I know these videos probably aren't the most interesting, unfortunately, but I do like to document when I'm moving things around, and I've kind of just stopped doing that because I move things around a lot because the geckos are growing and I can't keep track of it all the time because they need to be moved up into new enclosures and everything, and I don't always keep total track of it, and that's all right because they're going to grow and I'm going to be raising lots and lots of geckos. I mean, like 30 were born within the last year, so that's a lot of geckos, and that's a lot of stories that I didn't keep perfect track of. And that's all right. I keep track when they're born, and I keep track when I rehome them and everything like that. So I am keeping track of things, just not to the greatest extent that I used to be. But I hope you enjoyed this video and are kind of maybe enjoying my journey I'm going through with breeding the crested geckos. This is a new thing that I'm learning, and I'm hoping that if I'm sharing whatever I'm doing, then that can help somebody else who's going through a similar thing. So hopefully it is. If it is, like it down below. If you have any comments or concerns, comments below. And if you want more content, then please subscribe. Have a fantastic day.